Hey y'all, welcome back to Cherry Hill Farm. Everybody has just been pining for a crop update in the comments section. So, I hadn't really done one lately, but I try not to do the same thing over and over, but apparently I need to do a better job of getting my crop updates out and letting y'all know how things are going. So this is our second planting of tomatoes. Technically third, because we did one super early, one a couple weeks later, and then we got into the swing of things on the 4-week schedule. So this is technically, or supposedly, this is our second planting here. Got some bacteria in them pretty early on. One of the lessons learned for this year, I try to learn something every day. One of the lessons learned from this year is don't plant your successions of tomatoes side by side, because whatever problems you have in your first planting is going to carry over into your second. I'm not talking to y'all, I'm just speaking about myself, what I have learned this year. This is a variety of tomato called Firebird. This is my first time growing Firebird. Really happy with Firebird. Extremely rain tolerant. You can get a big old rain on these Firebird tomatoes and not have any cracking or splitting. I'm real excited. We'll go down here in just a minute and look at our third and final planting down here. These will be, we'll start picking these here in a couple of weeks, getting started on this next block. I'm really excited to see how Firebird does when it's not so dang stressed. These tomatoes have had a hard life. They were just getting up and really going good when we had 3 weeks of incredibly hot weather. It was around mid-90s every day for about 3 weeks. And then that turned off and it was cloudy and gray for 2 weeks and rained nearly every day. So these tomatoes have had a tough go of it. And the first planting that was right next door here, literally across a spray road, was eat up with bacteria by the time we dropped them and bush hogged them. And we've ended up with this field being eat up with bacteria, and we had tomato spotted wilt, and I've had spider mites become a pretty big issue. It moved over here from the older tomatoes. So yep, I will be putting more distance between plantings in the future. These are not really on their way out. The bacteria is going to take them out before the plants are ready to be out. We're kind of through the heaviest of the picking in the center of the plant. For the most part, we're getting up into the top of the plant. There'll be a lot of cannon tomatoes picked off of these over the next couple of weeks probably, and then we will drop them and move on to the next section, next block. One thing I learned on these fiberglass sticks, this is my first year of using these fiberglass tomato sticks. I like them. They're really fast to put out and take up. They come out of the ground easy, unlike a wood stick. But what I have found is they are so limber, as you can see here, that you have got to put a wood stick every now and then. Otherwise they'll just lay down on you. But we've got some old broken wood sticks that we're using every 25 foot or so to help support the rows. Tomatoes is really the only thing we've had a problem with. Cucumbers, hadn't really seen any problem with them laying down in the cucumbers. The beans, as long as they get drove in far enough on half runner green beans, we don't have any problem with those. Let's go over here and we'll look at the next thing. Eggplant, still clicking right along. This is the eggplant that we planted about the 15th of April. And I'm fully convinced if you lived in Brazil or somewhere like that where they don't have any cold weather, you could grow an eggplant tree and it would never die. This stuff is just, flea beetles eat holes in the leaves sometimes, but other than that, you don't have any problems out of eggplant. I used to grow about 5 acres of eggplant one time. I think that may have been prior to the YouTube days, I can't remember, but that's the beauty of eggplant. It's tough as a nail. It's still putting out. We grow, even in this little 40-foot row here, we grow more than we need. But it's one of those things. It doesn't cost a lot, but there's certain people that love it, and so we try to keep it in stock. Right here is some of that I was talking about. I hadn't sprayed them lately. There's some good old flea beetle damage. Looks like it's been shot with a shotgun. Here is our next planting, our last planting for the year of tomatoes. This is Firebird right here. And you can see so far I'm doing a decent job of keeping them pretty healthy. They are setting up fruit pretty nice. They're just now starting to set up high in the plant. This row right here is not as full as some of the, right here where I'm at, it's not quite as loaded. Right here is a better representation of what we've got on average across the field. This is loaded up with fruit pretty good up in here. There's certain places in the field there might actually be a handful of tomatoes out here that are on the verge of turning. I'm not exactly sure the size of this. We got 16 rows here, about 150-ish feet long. Part of them are Romas, and then there's 2 rows of Cherokee Purple. But everything else is Firebird. And we're gonna, hopefully, if I can keep these healthier than that patch, and I will have a little better feel for what Firebird's actually capable of as far as yield. But so far, I'm really happy with them. Really pretty nice looking plants so far. Down here we get into the Romas, and I've always grown Pony Express Romas. They've always done pretty good for us. They will load up. They're a really short little plant, but they will fill up with tomatoes. Look at that wad right there on that one hand. They're full, which is good because we just kind of got caught up on a Roma list to call, and they started slowing down in this other field, so now we've got quite a list of people wanting Romas for canning again. This is our played out Cucurbit field. I keep all the same stuff that gets treated the same together, so that's kind of the way I do my successions. Like I got this 8-row section here. It was cantaloupes, honeydews, canary melons, cucumbers, and squash. And the same thing, we got the same thing coming along here, except the plantings get smaller and smaller as we go along through the year because demand goes down. But we got squash coming along, cucumbers coming along, cucumbers that we're just starting to pick on, and squash that we are just really getting to pick on good. This end of the field right through here looks like junk because we had some standing water issues, and you can see the same problem in the beans right here. We've got the same strategy going on with these half-runner green beans. We got old, newer newer still, and this will be our last ones right here. You can see we had a standing water period for just a brief little while, and it really screwed this field up. Pretty significant yield hit just from what we lost in this one little section here. But another big takeaway from this year is I'm not going to grow half runner green beans on anything less than a 6-foot tall trellis again. Look at how pretty these are and how big and tall and full. And then these, there's a huge difference in just that extra 12 inches of trellis. Over here we've got our sweet corn patch that is just about played out. We might go through there and pull a few more ears. The purple hull peas that we just finished picking, all this really needs to be bush hogged. It's just done, but it's got aluminum pipe in it, and we've been busy doing other things. We haven't had time to take the pipe up, so I can't bush hog it just yet. We've got some other stuff down here at the bottom of the hill we'll go look at, and then we will go and check out what everybody's been itching to see, our pumpkins. And I'll show you our mums as well while we're out. Down here, this really long block here is our okra. Still plugging along. I only do one plant in okra. In the past I've done 2, and I think I may go back to doing 2 for next year because the production has really petered off on the okra. But this will be our last picking of purple hull peas here in front of it, and then I've got collards, turnip, and mustard greens planted right here closest to us. Here is our next planting of sweet corn that we're going to start pulling on as soon as it fills out. About to cut some overhead irrigation on. This is a no-till field here. Pretty happy with the way this turned out. This is the first time in a long time that I have tried this. I planted it with the monoecium planter, 36-inch rows. I did double row these beans. These snap beans are ready to be picked. October beans are not quite ready. The reason this stuff is so small and looks kind of rough is the deer have given me a fit down in here. I don't know why. They've been so much worse here than other places, but here is some purple hulls that we need to be picking probably tomorrow for the first time. I mean, they'll need to be picked over 2 or 3 times. As you can see, we still got a bunch of small ones here, but a lot of them are 100% ready. These are pink eye purple hull peas. The sweet corn variety is Remedy. I've been growing Remedy for a long time. It's a Syngenta super sweet variety, and the ears on it are pretty. It makes a pretty nice ear. I've had we've had some struggles this year, and we haven't gotten quite the diameter I would like to have had, but they've been filling out nice. The ears are longer, they're just not quite as big around, and I don't really recall that being an issue or Remedy in the past. Maybe that's just a Remedy trait, but I might switch it up next year and try a couple of other varieties, just trial some stuff just to see how different varieties turn out for me. If you don't ever try new things, you ain't never gonna learn much. This will be the sweet corn planting that comes after the one we just looked at, and this will be the very last sweet corn of 2025. Not exactly sure how many rows are in here. This was side dressed not too long ago, and this is just about ready to be side dressed. We side dress all of our sweet corn by hand. I don't have a real good way to do it mechanically, So it doesn't take my guys very long to go walk and put out 3400 beside the plants. So that's what way we do it. It takes a little bit of time, but it's not a big deal for the size sections of sweet corn that we grow at a time. Our mums are coming along real nice. We've kind of gotten to a point with the size of the plant that we're having to water twice a day. So the way that I'm tackling that is we run it for an hour in the morning with fertilize, and then in the middle of the afternoon run another 30 minutes of straight water, just to keep them from wilting, because we don't want to stress them, make them bloom prematurely. That's the plan with that. Stress will cause them to go reproductive and start blooming, and if it's not time for them to bloom, we don't want them to bloom, because they're not going to be as pretty as they could be if they bloomed at the right time. But we've got some of our earlier varieties starting to crack. The yellows, we got some handful of reds and pinks that are just starting to crack, and then these bigger leaf varieties, these will be a later mom. But these things are huge. I don't know how easy it is to tell just the size of these things through the camera. That probably doesn't do it justice, but I could reach my arms around this one, but it would be all I could do to touch my fingers on the other side. I might not be able to reach all the way around it. They're pretty big. I would guess these to be pushing 30 inches, and they've still got some growing to do. The ones that are not, till they're pretty much fully bloomed, they're not done growing. So we may have to come through here and split these, spread them again. we're starting to sell them, so I'm trying to stagger as I start pulling plants out to give the others extra room to grow. This is our 13-inch planter pad, and we've got our 9-inch pad across the road. It's got about 600 pots on it, something like that. And this one's got 350 or so on it, I believe is right. I got my main pumpkin inspector with me, and we're here for the moment everybody in the comments have been waiting for, an update on the pumpkin progress. So this is my 8-acre pumpkin field, kind of across the road from the farm. The majority of it, I would say 40% of it is Kratos, and then we've got Olympus, Field Trip, and these are buckskin pie pumpkins. In the past, I've always grown Long Island cheese, but Long Island cheese was out of stock, and my seed rep asked me if I wanted to try some New England cheddar. She said it was a hybrid of basically the same pumpkin, so that's what we're growing this year, is the New England cheddar. Let me see if I can find one right here. They are really starting to turn. We're going to be in here picking probably later this week. Yeah, right here's a couple of them actually. A couple of New England cheddars. Pretty nice size, real good color. Right there's a third one, actually a fourth one. Yeah, they're stacked in here pretty thick. So I think that's gonna be a pretty good hybrid. I mean, Long Island cheese always does pretty well for us, but be interesting to see. These might be a better yielder. Let's go over here and see what our orange pumpkins are looking like.
I have a tiny pumpkin that's green.
Tiny pumpkin that's green?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure enough.
Almost ripened.
Almost ripened. Right here is Kratos. see, they are. This one is ready. This one's all but finished up orange. There's one that's solid orange. It's always hard to say until you really get in the thick of them and get to pulling them out what it's going to be as far as yield. You can make your best guess, but that's a pretty nice one. It could stand the orange up a little bit more. It's just now the 3rd of September, so we're not in any breakneck race to get them all out of here or anything, but I do have some people that are ready to start getting some bins, so we're gonna start doing a little bit of picking. Somebody asked me about narrow rows or narrow spacing. I can't remember exactly how they had worded it in the comments, but yes, these are narrow rows, so to speak. They're 36-inch rows, but there is 5.5 foot between each seed within those rows. So I used to plant 60-inch rows with 24-inch spacing. So really there's more spacing in these plants than there is in 60-inch rows with 24-inch spacing. So I this last spray sprayed Rondis Opti because I'm starting to see some downy mildew across the road at the home farm. So I was trying to be proactive. I'm not necessarily seeing it here. One thing I am seeing, I have seen some gummy stem blight, and I have had a little bit of Plectosporium here and there, but I'm seeing mosaic virus, and I don't know. It's not really gonna have a big effect. A lot of times people buy an ugly pumpkin before they buy a pretty pumpkin, so I'm not super worried about the mosaic, but there is some of it out here. Really nothing you can do about that anyway, other than try to control the cucumber beetles all along from start to finish. So I'm pretty happy overall with the cleanliness of the field. The weed pressure is bad, but it always is by this point in the season. It could be worse. I've seen worse. I've had worse. There's places out in here that the morning glories are pretty bad, but overall, other than the pigweed sticking up here and there, it's moderately clean. Another thing that makes these pumpkins kind of hard to judge until you really get in and get started picking on them is this stuff right here. They match the plants. So we got this really big Olympus with another really big Olympus right beside it, and that one's just got just a touch of orange on it, but them babies are camouflaged. So that's another thing that makes it a little bit tricky to kind of try to judge yield unless you just really get out and stomp through the field. So in this section of the field, we got starting to see a little bit more orange in places under the morning glories. These are kratos. The field we were just looking at was kratos. I'm not sure why there's more orange over here, but you can I'm kind of starting to see them. I don't know how good you can see them in the camera, but I'm starting to see some orange shining underneath of the canopy. Alright, so I got distracted by the phone call, and I don't think I ever finished talking about my spraying. So I think I'm up to about 5 sprays in this field. I'm due for another one here in the next, maybe tomorrow. I put a protectant in every time. I really like using Manzate. I've kind of got a renewed enthusiasm about Manzate because I used to be just one of those things that you just kind of used. This year I was using it on my tomatoes like I always do from start up until we get ready to harvest. And then when we get ready to harvest, I switch over to Bravo as my protectant. This year I was using Manzate, and when I stopped using Manzate, it was like instantly early blight turned on and really worked over my tomatoes. So kind of made me rethink what Manzate's actually doing for me. But I think it does a really good job, and the manganese, they seem to really like it. So it's not an edible crop, and I mean, once we start picking, you're nearly done spraying anyway. So I try to put Manzate in about every spray. Like last week when I sprayed Arondis Opti, it already had the chlorothalonil or Bravo in it, so I left my Manzate out. My go-to plan for pumpkins is shortly after they come up, I like to hit them with Actara. It's really good on cucumber beetles. Seems like it depends on the amount of rainfall as to how good the seed treatment works. And if the seed treatment is not doing a bang up job on your little plants, the cucumber beetles will come in and just wear them out. And Actara is really good on cucumber beetles. After that, I just kind of get into, I try to steer clear of pyrethroids as much as possible, just because I'm trying to avoid causing myself any additional problems. It seems like the pyrethroid family of insecticides create about as many problems as they solve, and they're non-discriminate killers. I don't really like that, so I try to stick to stuff that is more of a targeted insecticide like Harvana, and I do use Besiege, which has a pyrethroid in it, but it's Karate and Coragen, and it is fantastic for squash vine borers. But I just kind of base my insecticide program off of what I'm seeing, and the fungicides, I kind of start with Manzate and the basic, less expensive products, and work my way up the chain through Inspire Super, Aprovia Top to protect with the gummy stem blight, or to cure gummy stem blight as it occurs, and then Arondis Opti for really when you got to drop the hammer on some downy mildew. That's kind of my go-to strategy. Right here we've got field trips, I believe, and they are oranging up pretty nice. This is part of the field where the honeysuckle is terrible, so it's a little bit harder to see these without really getting out in them. I actually don't think that the field trips are quite as far along as the jacks, which is kind of strange. I thought they were a shorter day. And it might just be this area of the field that I'm in where there's not a lot of them.
Pumpkin, Daddy.
Yeah, how about that? That's just your size, ain't it? Yeah.
Huh.
Got a handle on it for you. And the last thing we've got over here is some Cushall squash. I've never grown these before this year, but they seem to be pretty popular. People are buying them. And I think that I got orange stripe and green stripe, and I believe that the green stripe get a whole lot bigger than the orange stripe, because this one is ready. The shell's gotten hard on it, and it is half the size of the green stripe one. Here's another little orange stripe, and that one's still soft. Here's a really nice big green striped one. Looks like they yield a lot better as well, because they're kind of stacked up in here. Oh, that's a hybrid there. We got orange and green stripes going on with that one. The weeds are terrible. It's actually a little bit embarrassing. I'm gonna change up my program a little bit next year. I talked about that earlier on in an earlier pumpkin video. I mentioned that. I think I'm gonna go back to using some strategy for my pre-emerge next year, and that's one prong that I'm gonna do next year for weed control in pumpkins. The other one is I am going to drill a cover crop super early. Like as soon as we get done with these pumpkins, I'm gonna bush hog this, and I'm gonna rent a 10-foot drill from our county. Our county soil and water just got a brand new 10-foot sod drill. I'm gonna rent it, and I'm gonna drill extremely heavy cover crop in here. Hopefully sometime along October, November time, and try to get a jump on it and have the best cover crop I've ever had, and then come back with some strategy and hopefully have a better handle on the weeds next year is the plan. But I appreciate y'all watching. If you got any questions, anything I didn't cover about the spraying or whatever, drop them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I've got the equipment and I've got a plan. The only thing I haven't got quite yet is the time. I figured out me and my wife Holly are gonna start doing a podcast. I don't know how long it's gonna take us, so we're gonna try to get some episodes accumulated before we start posting them. That way we don't have any gaps, ideally. So maybe we'll try to answer some of these questions that I get on that podcast, but be on the lookout for that. I'm going to post them here on this YouTube channel. Hadn't quite got all the podcast platform stuff figured out yet, but I'll get it figured out, and we're gonna get that stuff out to you guys. So y'all keep a lookout for that. It'll be coming down the pipe here before long. But I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see y'all on the next one. Annabeth, can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Can you wave and say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
I just had to redeem myself a little bit. The field trips are actually stacked up in here pretty good. I just couldn't find them back there where the weeds were so thick. There's quite a few orange field trips laying out here. That makes me feel a lot better.